What's good, YouTube? Welcome back to my channel. Today I'm back with another video. So today we're going to talk about chapter 2, about Can You Mend My Broken Heart. So chapter 1, we talked about a character called Akira, and he was supposed to book a flight, but he did not get that flight. So we also looked about whereby yani waligongana na mse mwingine hapo mhuge, unaona mwenye alikuwa ameunga. So yeah, that was it. And then he told his brother that Anthony, the boyfriend, was a jack, yani sasa alikuwa anambetray vitu kama hizo. So let me read to you chapter 2, what he talks about. It talk about what the F star. It was a bad day for Raymond, a really bad day. He had come to Singapore to sign an almost finalized deal. The contract papers and the terms, everything was already charted out. It was just a formality for both parties to sign the contract. It was a big deal for him and this startup, as the backing was coming from Infinition Inc., one of the largest gaming companies in the world. So not only him, his whole team was banking on it. He had reached Singapore that afternoon and was supposed to fly out the same night after signing the contract to the CEO of Infinition, Mr. Pollard. So it was... Ma! So it was a bad day for Raymond. So we found the Raymond is the character, another character. So he also said that he came to Singapore to sign a deal for the Infinition Inc. This was one of the gaming companies. So he had reached Singapore that afternoon. He was supposed to fly out the same night after signing the contract to the CEO of Infinition, Mr. Pollard. So Mr. Pollard was the CEO of the Infinition. But the moment he landed and checked his emails, he sensed that something was wrong. He had received an email from the secretary of Mr. Pollard that he had to leave the country due to some family emergencies and that the contract signing will be delayed. He kept staring at his phone for quite some time, unable to believe that things would take such a U-turn just before the destination. He badly needed the funding, and this deal with Infinition was something that would have paved the path for his startup. Devastated with the recent returns of events, he took a deep breath and then called up Michael, the eyes and ears of the gaming world and a childhood friend of his, and got to know that Infinition CEO was pressurized by some third parties to cut off the deal that was supposed to happen with him. So tunaangalia this Mr. Pollard. We found that Mr. Pollard is the CEO of Infinition, and we found that this Infinition was one of the gaming companies. So venye alikuwa anaangalia hizo email yake akaona something was wrong. So he had to leave the country due to some family emergency. So he kept staring to his phone, na alikuwa anajua kwamba things will start to take a U-turn. He badly needed the funding, and this deal with Infinition was something that would have paved the path for his startup. Devastated with the recent of events, he took a deep breath and then called up Michael, the eyes and ears of the gaming world and the childhood friend of his, and got to know that Infinition CEO was pressured by some third party to cut off the deal that was supposed to happen with him. He was jet-lagged after a 21 hours long flight journey, which yielded nothing but a big zilch. Big zilch, yani tuseme akwa andaka, okay, yani ilikuwa the opposite, yani unaona, a big failure. Tuseme tu a big failure. He looked at his proposal papers again, which he had put down meticulously with the help of his team. He was irritated beyond limit as this new game product, which was an outcome of blood and sweat, would no more be getting a proper launch pad. His team had pulled many sleepless nights to get the work done. His frustration and disappointment were evident on his face. Beads of sweat started started forming on his broad forehead, even though the entire airport was centrally air sea conditioned. But he knew very well that nothing could repair the situation and that he had done for the day. He then decided to call his PA to let him know about the whole farce. Hello, David. Hello, Raymond. Did your meeting go? Before David could ask him anything, before David could ask him anything further, he cut in. It didn't. It didn't go through, and he disconnected the call without even waiting for his response. David had no courage to speak or call back his boss, as he knew how edgy and cold he was. And since the contract didn't go through, David knew that hell was about to break loose once he came back. So, so we find about this the CEO of in Infinition, and we also find that he was jet lagged after a 21 hours long flight journey, which yielded nothing but a big zilch. He looked at his proposal papers again, which he had put down meticulously with the help of his team. He was irritated beyond limits at this game product, which was an outcome of blood and sweat, would no more be getting a product launchpad. His team had pulled many sleepless nights to get the work done. So, we also find the character trait of this CEO. He is very determined. Yeah, we can say he is determined and hardworking. And also for his team, we can also say that because it says that they had many sleepless nights to get the work done. So it's like they put a lot of hard work to create this new gaming product. His frustration and disappointment were evident on his face. So, okay, so from this sentence, we also find that this gaming product, which they put hard work in, it was in vain. Unaona? So that's why wanasema he was frustrated and disappointed. He then decided to call his PA to let him know about the whole farce. Hello, David. Hello, Mr. Raymond. Did your meeting go? Before David could ask him any further, he cut in. It didn't go through, and disconnected the call without even waiting for his response. David had no courage to speak or call back his boss, as he knew how edgy and cold he was. And since the contract didn't go through, David knew that hell was about to break loose once he came back. So we can say David is cautious. He's cautious because he knew that whenever this boss came back, and since this contract did not go through him, he knew that maybe this company will break down or something. Raymond looked at his watch and sighed. He didn't want to go and check into his hotel to be haunted by the empty walls which would scream of nothing but failure. So he started walking towards the premium lounge area, and his return flight was scheduled after 12 hours. He immediately sprawled his long legs and dozed off on the lazy boy, as he hadn't slept well for the last couple of days. He had maxed out his days and nights for his gaming project. His anger and resentment were at peak, but he decided to keep them at bay because he knew who the third party which led to the cancellation of the deal. He knew what was to be done. So he set his alarm at 23:45 hours and decided to rest well and gather his nerves for the next battle. So 23:45 hours. So you also find that he did want to go to check into the hotel for he knew that it was haunted, which will scream of nothing but failure. So we can say that he is angry or disappointed. Yeah, and also we can also say that he was able to control his temper, but okay, he decided that he would keep his temper at low key, or we can say alikuwa anataka kupunguza hizo hasira zake because because kwa hiyo because for the anger and for that resentment which he had, it would have cancelled the deal, your contract. So he set his alarm and decided to rest well and gather his nerves for the next party. Raymond woke up with the buzzing sound of his alarm. He had preciously 15 minutes in his hand was before boarding was to start, so he decided to refreshen up. While he was resting, he had thought of another brilliant idea of enhancing his existing game to give it a new look. So he decided to grab a cup of coffee, as caffeine was his best creative friend. You can use this as a not metaphor, symbolism, yeah, or metaphor. He went, she went to the nearby Starbucks store and ordered a coffee and decided to move towards his gate area. He had he had hardly taken 2 steps when someone just collided with him head on with full force. He was startled and his coffee spilled all over and his proposal documents got scattered. Before he could cast his luck further, he saw a frail but dainty figure bending down and gathering her papers. Her shiny jet black hair was tied up in a messy bun, but the stray strands of hair falling on her face made her look even more pretty. She looked extremely distressed and worried. She bent down immediately, and her slender long finger started picking up the papers, and he saw her lips quiver before she spoke. I'm so, I'm so sorry, sir. I didn't mean it. I was just in a rush. I'm sorry again. She was apologizing profusely, profusely and was collecting his papers. Her voice was shaking, and there was something so sincere about her that his anger and irritation that had built up in his head just vanished in a second in such a way that he could say a word. So I think we also find this another character. She's a female. Yeah, she's a female, and her character trait is she's apologetic. Uh-huh. Yeah, she's apologetic. He bent down to help her as well, for he couldn't somehow see her going through the trouble alone. And just when she was about to hand him his papers, she lifted her gaze up at him, and no sooner a drop of tear rolled down her cheeks and fell on the papers which she was holding. Nothing but pain was reflected in those hazel brown eyes. Probably she realized that she realized that and left immediately towards the washroom without even saying a word further. Raymond was taken aback. Somehow his heart wanted to console her. His hands wanted to wipe away those tears running down her smooth fair skin. He was known as the man of few words, but somehow he wanted to say it's okay to her, but words just fell short. So this is the end of chapter 2. In the title it is What the F with the 3 stars. Yeah. So it basically talks about this Raymond. So this Raymond, he built a gaming product, but his plans did not go well. So there was a part which was saying that he decided to grab a cup of coffee as caffeine with his best creative friend. So I don't know if we can say it is metaphor, or we can say that it is symbolism. We can say all those. We can say a thing like that. So we also figured out that there was this woman who was bending down gathering a paper, and she looked extremely stressed and worried, and we can also say that she was apologetic. Yeah. So this um Raymond was taken aback. Somehow his heart wanted to console her, but it was very late over. So thank you guys for that, for your cooperation for that video. Yeah, more stories will be coming up, and yeah, we just wait for chapter 3 how it goes.